off of course, their skirmish or tactical game, and the other one is more on a different lore setting, more based on the 2D20 system.
Right.
The ones they use for like Star Trek and stuff like that.
Yeah, Star Trek,
Yep.
most notable Mutant Chronicles and such like that, and Infinity as well, RPGs.
Yep.
So that's what you can look forward to. There's not really that much detail.
So the same company is putting out 2 role-playing games based on the same IP.
Yes.
And they couldn't find a way to make them the same game?
Nope. Well, I mean, maybe that's just a marketing, like more of like, hey, there's some things, maybe they're specifically putting things like, hey, some people might want a more like fight game and one more detective game.
I guarantee that no matter which game they would put out, they would have a vocal minority saying, no, they should have put out the other one. So I suppose this is a way to just tell everyone they got what they wanted. Like,
yes.
It is a very weird, like, it's one of those things where I think a lot of fans, whenever something comes out, they're like, well, why couldn't they have just released the version I wanted to? Usually there's a reason for that, so I'm curious or cautious as to how they're going to do it. And you had the point that, like, maybe they're not going to release both?
Yeah, maybe they're play testing both of them, and they'll get people excited.
Just
like,
release the one that they hate the least.
2 coteries of people excited about 2 different ones.
No. We'll get to that. That's not how the term is
That's also
used.
wrong.
Okay, that's fine. 2 groups of people.
Yeah, I mean, technically,
excited.
Cultures?
It's fine.
No.
2 groups of people excited about 2 different versions, and they'll kill one of them. That
they'll
seems
kill
very...
the thing they're excited about, or the group of people?
the thing they're excited about.
Because your statement was not clear
actually,
that when you sign up for this playtest.
So here you go. If you sign up for this playtest,
Yes.
you may get to try it out. You may not to. Eventually, you'll get to play 2 games for the price of 2.
Yeah. And it's only till Monday. Last day sign up is this Monday the 13th. So guys, sign up if you want to go ahead and play test it.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
So, anything cute happening?
Anything cute? Oh, what is that?
Oh, there
What
it is.
That?
So this isn't actually the cute thing that's happening, but this is
this is just a cute thing that you brought.
Well, this is part
This
of
is
the
my
line.
husband, Tom.
Her name is Jeff. Jeffrey Magdalene is her full name.
Oh.
We didn't realize that she was a girl when we first named her Jeff, although Jeff can also
Jeff
be
is a fine name.
Beautiful name. Either way.
Beautiful Jeff.
Yeah, so there are 4 new figurines announced for the Adorable Power line. This is one of the original creatures.
Figurines of adorable power.
Yeah, the
Figurines of Adorable Power.
I'll play on the old figurines of wondrous power.
Yes, yeah. And these are just very adorable Dungeons and Dragons creatures.
You don't say.
Now, these don't look like you look like you can't play with these on the board, though.
But why?
Why not?
I mean, it's not scaled to the
It's not
appropriate size of
scaled to
Owlbear, but I'm pretty sure that
It's a
adventurous
really
GM could come up
big-
with another use for
You
that.
could do theater
really
of the
big
mind
owlbear.
with that.
Yeah. I like to have it in my dice tray and just have it watch over as I'm rolling my dice. There's lots of
And
great
judge
use.
your dice.
And eat
It's a
them,
very powerful
probably.
owlbear.
So what are the
So the new
ones coming
ones
out? For
coming
the new
out, there's going to be a chest mimic. There's going to be a flump,
Oh my God.
which is a mysterious
love
jellyfish-like benevolent creature in the Underdark.
I know a friend of mine, AlphaStream, on Twitter, will probably end up with about 50 of these.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, I don't think he'll buy them. I think everyone else will buy them for him because we all know he's obsessed with flumps, and we won't communicate with each other.
Yeah.
So on Christmas, he'll just get 1 million boxes that are all conspicuously the same size.
I mean, I kind of love that, though. Just
A flump army.
yeah. Army, and I'm sure they'll find uses for those. There's also going to be a gazer, which is a tiny, unintelligent beholderkin, which seems kind of rude to the gazer, but I guess.
He's even got kind of an offensive name as far as beholder can go.
Yeah.
Well, I think Gazer's probably better than Starer because it's probably like
I,
imagine a beholder that
I
just kind
picture
of.
it as like the monstrous equivalent of being a poser.
Sure. Yeah.
Like those eye stalks don't do nothing.
You're not quite beholder level. And last but not least, there's going to be a GIF, which is a humanoid hippo folk and spacefaring in D&D. There's a lot of like
they were like the first ones that have guns.
Yep.
a lot of
I still love that
the
picture.
deep lore there that I will only just scratch the
Oh,
surface
have we
of.
not introduced you to
The spaces,
Spelljammer?
Spelljammer,
haven't,
the
you should
spaces
say thank you.
between
Have we
worlds.
not told you about the miniature giant space hamster?
Oh yeah, the miniature giant space hamster.
Here we go again.
I don't know if we've talked about the miniature
I'm glad that
giant
you brought it
space
back to the
hamster.
Forgotten Realms, though, since that's your favorite setting.
So the most important detail here is that I contend there's only one cute thing in this line.
Oh.
The GIF is the only one that's cute.
Okay. Well, at least you're accepting the existence of cuteness in the world, so I'll take it.
Oh, have we not talked about my taste in anime? It is definitely the brutally weird and the disgustingly
weirdly,
cute.
Yeah,
yes.
for some reason I'm picturing a lot of tentacles.
Distressingly cute. I love that. So these are coming out in April 2020, so keep an eye out for that. It's great for gifts, just to surprise your game master or your D&D loving friend.
Gifts?
Gifts.
Gifts.
Oh, good. I'm going to bring those dad jokes out early and get them over.
Jeff is just going to hang out here now.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I vote
It's
for
okay.
that. It's good.
I don't have to
cutie.
pay Jeff as a host or anything, do I?
Yes.
Just
Jeff did
half
not sign a
rates.
contract.
Oh,
Jeff
Yes,
doesn't
that's
have
what I
opposable thumbs. Maybe cut her a break.
Hey.
yeah. But in other D&D news, guess what?
I'm guessing it's something because you're doing this.
There's more stuff. So some people on the internet did internet things and may have revealed stuff that they shouldn't have revealed and made
Would those people be
announcements.
Amazon?
That sounds
And would
like
the
my whole
internet thing
internet
be
history.
listing a product early?
Yes. Okay. So there has been, a little bit of early release happening in Amazon.
That's exactly like my internet history.
People have discovered about 2 different objects that D&D is going to be releasing. One is being the Laurel Silverhand's Explorer Kit, or like basically, if it's, I think it's going to be more of a book. If it's my guesses is it's going to be like a kind of GM unspoken extra GM guide.
Well, hold on. I think you're jumping ahead of yourself a little bit.
Oh.
But first, I just want to say,
Yes.
the fact that you said that this was a object and it was called the Laurel Silverhand Explorer Kit made it really feel like you had rolled on the random treasure table for some sort of monster.
And you're trying to make it
And
sound
it was like,
really scary.
please roll on the object table, and then you go to the object table, and it's like Laurel Silverhand thing.
Yeah.
But yes,
Hey, it's too.
no.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally appropriate. I just think you went there and did not even realize it.
But yes.
So it's coming out. We know what the Explorer's Kit is.
Yes.
Because that's like dice. It's
It's
just like the
dice.
Avernus set. It's got
Yeah.
dice. It's got some reference cards. It's got some art. I think the box is probably a dice tray again.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. And then because of Laurel's association, people are jumping to some expectations as to what the product might be.
Yes, that's what it's saying. That like it's going to be.
So what are they speculating specifically?
Why are you looking at me?
It's probably gonna be like an extra like I said, a GM's guide, or just a whole like, hey, you want to know about stuff?
Book of stuff. Love books of stuff.
Books
So
of stuff.
fluff.
Well, not really, because then it also explains more about magical weapons and basically how rare you want to make them or not.
Doesn't the Dungeon Master's Guide do that?
Yes.
I had to
but-
buy a whole separate
But
book
this
for
is
that.
gonna be like a Dungeon Master's Guide too.
Well, remember,
Oh, that was the greatest book ever
all
created.
D&D books are entirely optional, so you are not in any way required to purchase
Except
this
for
unless you want to
except for
play
the
with
core 3.
strangers.
Core 3 aren't optional.
Except if you want to play with cool stuff.
Yes.
Like my character wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Xanathar's Guide.
Oh.
Why? What's in Xanathar's Guide?
Celestial
Everything.
Warlock.
Xanathar Guide.
So here's the thing. Like I love character options.
Yeah.
Ready?
What?
Oh.
I hate magic items. I hate them.
Gasp.
I know, right?
Bad man.
Derek, what if
Bad
it's a ring of
we-
black-hearted darkness?
When are we just gonna get a new nameplate for him on screen that just says "Fun Sucker"?
What? Come on.
You need the ring of +2 armor. It really comes in handy sometimes.
It does.
Yeah.
It's
Or-
also boring.
How about the game master tempts you with a weird unidentified tentacle ring? You're like, I'm gonna put that on my finger, and
Yes.
the cleric's like, don't put that on your finger. And like, I'm gonna put that on my
So
finger.
the thing is, you can do the exact same thing with an altar that they can't take with them out of the dungeon. Because literally, you put an altar there, the players are gonna be like, "Oh."
So you just
I'm
don't
gonna
want
touch
your
it.
players to have stuff, is
Yeah, that's
right?
all.
No,
That's
like
all
even
it
as a
is.
player, I don't really like it. I like things my character can do. I like Xanathar's player options. I love it. I love
It's
things I
great.
can do. I don't like things that I carry. I think is what it boils down. Like, but I know plenty of people do.
yeah.
Oh, because it takes up your equipment slot.
I just don't find it super exciting.
Treasure is a fundamental part of the Dungeons and Dragons experience.
I have a weird, complicated relationship with the Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah,
experience.
it sounds kind of masochistic. I'm not even gonna lie.
I don't know. I always say I'm a little bit there with you because for right now my armor class is not great, and they're like, well, you got to go get some better armor. I'm like, oh, that sounds so boring. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But don't you want like
I like
a
the
ring
aesthetic
of
of my
Warprism
chain
and
shirt,
stuff like
thank you.
that?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, other than that, of course, the book, and then as you mentioned, the other thing was like people discovered, dice. Very nice, pretty blue dice.
So people like dice?
Yes.
Really?
People like dice.
Weird.
And
Turns
then so
That
basically
explains 80% of our Kickstarters.
all of the it's going to be released or trade March 17th. It was supposed to be announced on the 9th, but because everybody had to spoil things, they changed to like whoop.
If by everything you mean Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, by Amazon, spoiling all the things. So now they took the route, like basically, like, hey, we're going to talk about it. Wait, no, actually, we're going to talk about it on this day.
I did find that very funny because usually when something gets released, you're like, fine, here are the details.
Yeah.
I like how Watsy was like, fine, we're taking our details and going home.
Yeah.
And we'll play again with you later.
Pretty much. So January 13th, if you want to go ahead, find out all those details about what's in there. All of it is speculation, though, at this point.
All
So
speculation.
next
Yeah,
week,
everything we just said.
next week
complete.
maybe we'll be able to say everything we just said was wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be fun. I love that.
All right. So, let's get into some good news, finally.
Oh.
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. Obviously, it's not that great. Fantasy Flight Games this week has laid off everybody, burned down their building, and only kept Keyforge.
Almost.
Is that right?
Not quite,
And
not
X-Wing.
quite. I feel like that's maybe an exaggeration.
That's
Yeah.
it was an oversimplification and an exaggeration. I was going for both, and I think I succeeded. So, this week they laid off literally hundreds of people
Lots and lots
who
of
don't have jobs anymore. It looks like they're anything that was related to role-playing games or video games related to board or role-playing games, those people don't have jobs. So hire them. If you're
Yeah.
making games, hire them. They need jobs right now.
They're also, where is Fantasy Flight located? It's somewhere in the Midwest.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, they're also in Minnesota in the middle
Oh,
of
wait,
winter.
Minneapolis or Milwaukee?
they're in the
So-
middle. Oh, no.
Yeah.
They're not
Or-
gonna freeze to death for being out of a job for 5 days. They're gonna be okay this
I'm
week.
just
At
saying.
least they didn't
It'll take
do
at least
it
7
for
days to freeze.
Christmas. Can you imagine?
Yeah, losing your job doesn't automatically make you homeless. You're gonna be okay.
People are getting back from vacation, getting notices like, hey.
Yeah, hey, welcome back, but leave.
Yes. Ooh,
Yeah, so
It's
it's not
scary.
good news in any way. But
Yeah.
It is
the
not.
divisions, details are still speculative. I don't think that they've made a lot of official announcements on it yet.
Yeah,
But,
I've talked to a couple people from there, and I can't say anything.
yep. But news from the people who left seems to be that it's almost all, if not all, of their RPG folks. And I believe that Fantasy Flight Interactive is just completely shut down.
Yep.
Which I have to say, Fantasy Flight Interactive shutting down was a really big surprise to me because I thought that they're kind of like app-assisted driven games. I had assumed were doing very well.
And they keep announcing them, so you
Yeah.
thought they were going to keep making more. I mean, they've been putting out new products, RPG-wise, and through this all year long. I mean, we've done dozens of stories just on this show. And
Well, it seems, because this is a company that's owned by Asmodee, so there's potentially a lot of overlap and redundancy. It seems more of a restructuring in a lot of ways.
Yes, but so here's the thing. For the Fantasy Flight Interactive side,
Yeah.
I can see that argument because Asmodee has Asmodee Digital,
Yeah.
and I could certainly see them redoing that. But Asmodee doesn't really seem to have a history for RPG production.
Yeah.
So that restructuring, or just elimination,
yes.
seems more concerning, and it feels like that might be a similar tactic that WotC had taken
Yeah.
when D&D 5th had come out, and they had decided that they were going to try to keep like a very, very small core team, and they were going to freelance a lot of the work out, and that didn't work out super great for them.
Yeah.
So I hope that Fantasy Flight has a better plan for that, or learns that lesson very, very quickly,
Yeah.
and is able to justify scaling back up in some capacity.
one of the things that interests me about this is what games are affected specifically. And yes, it's the role-playing games. What role-playing games does Fantasy Flight put out?
Star Wars.
Star Wars,
5R.
big one.
And
L5R.
then also Legend of the Five Rings.
Yeah.
And
Genesis.
then trying to think what the last one is.
Genesis.
Yeah.
But honestly,
And then a couple of smaller IP games that are based on one of those three systems. But yeah,
yeah.
it's. I mean, those are big games.
Well, yeah, like that's
Yeah.
the thing is, for Asmodee, those games probably make very little money. But
Right.
if you
Right.
look at like the top-selling RPGs, Star Wars has certainly been dominating that, and Fantasy Flight has popped up in that list more than once.
Yes.
L5R, I'm sorry. So, like those are big hits to the player base, into the RPG community. I really hope that Fantasy Flight will be able to maintain like a quality with freelancers.
Yeah.
It's unclear what they're going to do with that. But they just bought the L5R license.
Yes.
Star Wars was doing great. They just it doesn't seem like they're going to lose the Star Wars license because they just announced more X-Wing products. They just announced their own line of paints with their own branding packaging. So if that's the case, it must have been a surprise.
Proprietary dice killed the company.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went
damn
to
Star Wars dice.
my local FLG, right? And we were trying to start a Star Wars game, and they said that they're not restocking these Star Wars dice. And also from another point, I played Legend of the Five Rings. They haven't really updated the RPG or added any new stuff for over a year.
Not true.
No, I haven't seen it.
I will definitely agree with you that their marketing and release has been spotty. But the books have come out. You just haven't heard about them until you happen to walk through the store and see it in the shelf.
If they're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just haven't, because I really like.
They've had a bunch of supplements come out for it.
From the marketing perspective, this makes me wonder if this is maybe it's a little more marketing's fault, because it's the same with the Lord of the Rings Adventure card game digital version, which came out in August. Did we even talk about that? Nobody knew about the launch of that. And the game seemed to be okay. I looked up the reviews on Steam. It was fairly well reviewed, but there just wasn't that many reviews because not that many people knew about it.
I think they also did we mention that they did Lord of the Rings as well?
No, that wasn't one of the IPs we mentioned until just now.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, that was for Fantasy Flight Interactive. That was their main project.
Yeah.
So Fantasy Flight Interactive doesn't exist now.
But for that one, I can see Asmodee Digital just taking those on.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a situation of what exactly is happening here. I would love to hear something from Fantasy Flight or from Asmodee.
Yeah.
Is this a restructuring? Will those projects continue in other divisions? What is the future of the RPGs? Personally, because I love L5R so much, I'm really curious what they're going to do with it. But we kind of don't know. I mean, lots of people are speculating that they're going to lose the Star Wars license, or that Asmodee is trying to slim down to sell itself again, because that's how investment companies work. Or that they want Disney to buy. There's all these crazy speculations about who's going to buy what. Almost all of which are just completely uninformed and are just all of our armchair commentary.
Yeah, but what is this show about if not armchair commentary?
Yeah.
For God's sake, guys. We know what we are.
We don't have any arm
We
rests.
don't have arms.
We don't have armrests.
Yeah, because you told us no.
Because we'd be messing with them all the time.
I blame Kristen on that one.
Well, he gave me a box at least. I have a box.
I think
I gave her a box.
That's true.
One last point about role-playing games. We're seeing, from the Kickstarters we've been doing, we're seeing role-playing games do very well on Kickstarter and do very well from, like you're saying, freelancers doesn't always work out, but we're seeing independent companies and smaller companies be able to make enough money off of the role-playing games to do very well. Whereas for a huge company, role-playing games can't necessarily fit into their bigger picture. So if this is... it could be a little bit of a shakeup, but if some of these are moving to smaller, more independent companies...
But they're not going to be.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars is never going to go to a small company.
Yeah.
No.
And Legend of the Five Rings is owned by Fantasy Flight.
But it can make some more space for independent role-playing games and for new worlds, Derek. New worlds and new universes.
The argument that RPGs... that the reason we don't have more smaller RPGs is because larger RPGs are taking up space. It's not one that I buy.
I don't buy that either.
No.
So, this would be if Fantasy Flight or Asmodee is like, you know what? We can't make money off of this.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But we'll let a much smaller company who can make a margin that's acceptable license it from us and make it. If that's how they want to do the L5R RPG, that would be a really interesting way to explore it. That's in some ways that's kind of what's happening with the World of Darkness stuff. Paradox is letting different studios license the games and do it. That could be an interesting route to go.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to explore that. I want to know that I'm going to have L5R in a couple years.
Right. It would be interesting to find out.
What if it goes crazy with this crazy idea? What if, since Disney owns Star Wars, they use L5R for Mulan? And then they release their own RPG games.
Mulan RPG.
So, yes.
Yeah?
But
No.
Mulan is Chinese.
Yeah, I was gonna
L5R
say,
is
don't tell her
extremely not Japanese.
Are we really going to go between
Well, it's
pretend China and pretend Japan here?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna lump them together.
I had my own fantasy of like suddenly Disney's into the RPGs and you can go to RPG
Oh,
Disneyland.
the fantasy of suddenly Disney is into RPGs would be great. We'll
There's
all
so
wake
many
up to
universes.
that dream anytime now.
I don't think it's time for it now, but we can maybe next time talk about our favorite Disney universes for role-playing games.
Oh, I would love to do that. I'm sick that week though, so
Yeah.
I can't.
I mean, I think I would just be like, cool, no.
Aw. Wall-E.
Well, yeah, Wall-E was a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to role play in it. Anyway,
So
Yeah.
an
That-
adorable robot.
Sorry.
anyway, there are
Yeah.
plenty of ways to be an adorable robot in Rifts.
Fine.
That is so true, and we will get to that. But so, with the Fantasy Flight news out of the way, and still obviously wanting to know more about it and not knowing more about it, that's all we're really going to talk about for that. There are good things happening too, though, Derek, and you're going to tell us
Yes.
about one
Well,
of those.
speaking of RPGs,
What?
What?
On this show?
I know, right? So, New Game Master Month is an initiative that a couple different companies have put together to try to help people become a new GM, to try out a new game. It's not really exclusive for just you've never game mastered before. I think they're more than happy to help you if you've been running D&D and you just played that and you want to try something different. They've picked 4 games. They've tried to put together some resources to help people kind of pick those up, learn how to GM, try something different. Those 4 games are Numenera, Unknown Armies, Trail of Cthulhu, and 7th Sea. So people have probably heard us mention a lot of these in the show.
Yeah.
Just in case, Numenera is a far future, like, you know, the world.
Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, like we've gone through that
All the way
cycle.
back to
Everything's magic again.
Yeah, we've gone through that cycle like 9 times now. So like civilization has risen and fallen. So it's so far that no one knows any blah blah
Something
blah.
that Monty Cook came up with when he had a really high fever.
It's the kind of thing I really like because it reminds me of like Dying Earth and stuff like that,
Yes.
which is ironically a huge influence on D&D. But it's a really kind of gonzo potentially setting. And it's been very, very popular. It kind of launched the Cypher system that has influenced a handful of other games like The Strange and stuff like that. Another one is Unknown Armies, which is a personal one of my favorite games. I do find it actually intimidating to run because of how detailed and well written the books are. And it is a modern occult in the shadows kind of game. Not to the like superhero level of say Vampire or something like that. It's usually much more like street level, like magicians. I think the tagline for this edition is like broken people trying to save the world. But it's one of the games, one of the only games I've ever enjoyed character creation of. I think it has one of the most intriguing and interesting sanity systems we've ever seen in an RPG.
So in general, you don't enjoy character creation?
Correct.
Okay, see?
Most character creation is kind of.
I'm figuring
Most
you out.
character creation is boring homework.
All the things that people
It
like
is.
about role-playing
It is.
games are the things that Derek hates about
No,
role-playing.
I like playing them.
There.
And
You
have to
I
think
like
of
How
the
do you
them.
do it without
story.
making a character?
No, like sometimes you got to pay the tax.
there.
But yeah, I do find this interesting that they're doing this, and it's trying to like break people out from playing like 5th edition.
Yep.
They can now learn, and it's like an infection. You teach them about a new system, and they bring that to their group.
Yeah.
Well, and I think they picked these
This
games
is-
specifically because they're all not D&D. They're not D&D
Yeah.
clones. They're not
Right.
D&D reactions.
Now, this is basically based on my entire mantra in life is just getting people to play new and different games.
Yeah.
And,
So so Unknown Armies, if you want sanity, if you want passionate characters, if you want like a modern occult setting, highly recommend it. And then Trail of Cthulhu is if you want that Call of Cthulhu experience, but you want a system that is explicitly designed for investigation, where one of the core tenets of the game is if you show up to a scene and you have the skill that gets you the clue, you get the clue. It's
Right,
not
right.
rolling to get it, it's putting the clues together. And there's some fantastic stuff in that book. And then 7th Sea, if you haven't heard of it,
Pirates.
is pirates.
Pirates. Nailed it.
Yeah. So, we have pirates.
Good
we
friend
have,
of mine once said everything is
we have
better with
Cthulhu
pirates.
horror, we have like modern occult horror, and we have like far, far, far future weirdo magic tech post-apocalypseness.
Cool.
Nice.
And that's for both helping people get into GMing, which is of interest to me, and getting people into just GMing a new system they haven't
Yep.
tried before.
Yep.
So where can they sign up? Like, what's the deal with this? Like, how do you get involved?
NewGameMasterMonth.com, I believe.
So go check that out if you're interested in game mastering a game that isn't D&D or even is D&D. check it out. This is going to give you a good opportunity to learn skills that you may
one
not
of
possess or
the
not know you
secrets of RPGs is that usually advice on how to become a game master just kind of applies to all games.
Yeah.
It is true. So go check it out.
Yeah.
All right, last but not least on our list of headlines, AEG announces Mariposas board game. This is a board game by the award-winning designer Elizabeth Hargrave. It is a game about butterflies. Mariposa is Spanish for butterfly. So once I feel it,
So branching out from birds into butterflies.
into butterflies.
I dig it.
Absolutely.
I dig it.
Once I figured out that connection, everything made a lot more sense. This is going to be for their big game night promotion that they do every year at Gen Con. I'm interested to see. I followed AEG in their big game night for a few years, and they've been trying different things every year. Some years they kind of keep it secret, or in the past they would keep it super secret and just release it at Gen Con and be like, wow, new games. For the last couple of years, they've been announcing it early, building up the hype for it. They usually do 3 games, so I'm interested to see this year if they're just going to do the one or if they're trickling them out slowly. And this one also looks a little on the heavier side. And I just looked at the picture. There's not a ton of information about this game yet, but there's a fair amount of components. And for Elizabeth Hargrave as a designer, Wingspan, a little bit on the meatier side. She also did Tussie Mussy, which was an 18-card game, which was a little lighter, so I'm interested to see exactly where this
Wingspan's
falls mechanically.
But Wingspan's very Euro-y.
Yes.
Yes.
And I have a feeling that because they're really pushing the Hargrave connection, I suspect that Mariposa will also be kind of a very solid, heavy Euro game.
Yeah.
Not super heavy.
Yeah, for the big, probably Euro and then stepping it back a little bit.
Sure.
I would love to see something here where, and for big game night too, they do an event for it. So they release the game, everyone gets tickets, gets the games, they all play the game together.
Yep. It's about 1,000 people or so
Yeah.
who will sit down and play it.
So it makes sense if there's, easy enough to pick it up, learn it, and play it that night. So I'm very excited to see what
Probably
this is going to be.
not a single game.
The theme is super fun. We've seen a couple of butterfly games, but not too many. This is about butterfly migrations.
It
so.
does seem like there was a bunch of
This is
butterfly games. on
definitely
Kickstarter.
poised to be the greatest butterfly board game of all time.
There was.
I'm just going to say it.
There was that one with the bushes
Yeah.
that
Oh,
we
yeah,
covered,
I
the
played that one.
papillon,
The
and
papilloni or
which
whatever.
looked
Sounded like
very
a pasta.
Papillon?
Yeah,
Papillon?
It sounded like a pasta when I heard the name.
which is the French word for butterfly.
Oh.
So all these games are just different language words for butterfly.
Cool.
But it's great. I think there cannot be too many creature, animal, butterfly themed games.
I'll remind you of that in 10 years when we talk about
we've
the
saturated
big
the market.
butterfly game crash of
Oh my
2021.
gosh, there's just too many of them. So this one will be available at Gen Con.
Yeah,
nice.
it'll be the big game night, so
Yeah.
you'll have a chance to look at it probably on this channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hope.
Groovy, groovy. So that's it for headlines, everybody. Let's move right into bundles. Bundle of holding this week is not exciting to anyone but me.
Very
I was excited.
excited.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I really
Yeah,
appreciate you
yeah,
jumping on.
yeah.
Like, I've been working on getting you on this bandwagon for over a year now, and I'm really glad you're coming around. The Rifts Minion War Bundle is available from Bundle of Holding. It's $14.95, and it's got 5 supplements from the Minion War sequence of Rifts, including the Twin Dimension books Hades, Pits of Hell, and Hell Unleashed.
So just to clarify, there was a Minion War sequence in Rifts?
Yeah, yeah.
Did they just retroactively say, Wormwood was part of that?
Basically, yeah.
Cool. Okay. Also, Devils.
Yeah, Devil.
Great.
You got it. All of them, all correct.
Yep. I think they just
Wow.
asked a bunch of 6-year-olds how to misspell the word
Wow.
devil.
They
And that
just
was how they did it. And
replaced
that's
pretty much every
that's
letter.
the way that they chose, but it stayed consistent throughout the entire sequence.
Wow, that really seems par for the course for Rifts. Is this what we can expect?
Yeah, but this is also going to have the Dimensional Outbreak book, which is a more recent release. Like, this just came out last spring.
Okay.
So it's a re-release of that as well. And then Armageddon Unlimited, which I think really sums up Rifts, and Megaverse in Flames.
Which also sums up Rifts.
Yeah, it really does. So for the bonus, it's $25.49. You get 2 conversion books. The Wormwood Dimension book, which is a lot of people's least favorite.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Wormwood will always have. Here's the conclusion. I think Wormwood is responsible for why I like Planescape,
Okay.
Because I think Wormwood was the first RPG book that I got that was just like, no, it's just weird.
It's just
And
weird.
you're like,
No, it's
okay,
just
so
weird.
people live on this like weird living asteroid in space and eat the worms that it extrudes from its skin. Oh yeah, and they use those worms to replace their own tongues to become priests. Yup. Cool, I'm in.
That does sound like something you would like, Derek.
I buy it.
Yeah, it's when Riffs was for some reason like thought they weren't weird enough and decided to really, really push it. Also, it's going to get one of the Phase World books and Heroes of the Megaverse and the Naruni Wave 2 book, which is just an equipment book, but it has lots of cool alien tech in it. Totally worth checking out. I've got it. It's nice. And you get the
Is there a
Riffs.
Rift book you don't have?
Yeah, there's lots of Riffs books I don't have. They made like 90 of them.
Yeah, but like in PDF, you still don't have it?
Oh, I don't really do PDF.
Oh, you're one
I
of
like
those people.
I like books.
You like killing
Like to touch it.
trees.
I mean, I'm on my Kindle all the time, but I'm not reading RPG books with it.
We're not going to talk about that.
Right.
Anyway.
So there you go. You can get the Rift's Essential set for $8.95. Also available, it's going to get the Rift's Ultimate Edition book, the Primer and Source Book 1 Revised Edition. It's just a good deal.
Yep.
If you're looking to get into Rifts, this is where you can start before
Rifts-
you move on to Savage Worlds.
So Rifts, I think, is for me, is what D&D is for a lot of people. Because like Rifts was the first RPG I really got into. So when you're like Source Book 1, I'm just like, man, I remember that coming out. Memories, man.
Memories.
Time passes.
I would just spend hours at my local game store. Mostly just digging through Rifts books because they had this huge shelf and there were so many of them.
I remember riding my bike to use my allowance to buy Rifts books, and then my mother getting mad at me because I had mail ordered like a whole bunch of Rifts books, and she found out, and she's like, "You are canceling that order and getting that money back." And I was like, "But Mom, Rifts,
That's adorable.
money.
yeah, it's my money. I can waste it how I want."
Plus, the art was very evocative just in
Yeah.
general. And as a teenage boy, I enjoyed it.
And who is this benefiting?
Oh, yeah.
Other than yourself.
Other than myself, this is benefiting a
specifically
charity.
for
It is the
the
Bundle of
Christian
Holding.
Foundation.
The Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which I understand is an organization that will kidnap your children if they're being bad. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. No.
I don't think that's what that
no,
is,
No.
but yeah.
It does the opposite.
Look it up. You have the internet. Google it.
But yes.
And those are our bundles.
And
Those are our bundles. Kickstarter Queen.
Kick us off.
Well, I'll kick us off. I will start the kicking and say that we this week have a very, very few number. And I had to say I'm very happy this week. I was very gratified this week that the two of you claimed many of the Kickstarters I had highlighted. So it's not just Derek being like, this is what I thought was cool on Kickstarter this week. It's everybody involved. So Banzai, why don't you start us off?
We got pop-ups.
Pop-ups.
We got pop-ups. Pop-up Fantasy Setting Kit Volume 2 or 2. This has.
Ooh, I'm learning. You're like Dora the Explorer all of a sudden. That's great.
Mariposas, butterflies. Anywho. This has only hours left. I actually am going to fund this Kickstarter. Basically, it's a printable kit. Like basically, they give you prints that you can cut out, and you can get your own.
Just from your own printer. You
Yeah,
just like
from your own
putting
printer,
cardstock
you just
or paper.
get the PDF files, and you can assemble these like D&D or like fantasy, not D&D, but like if you were into role-playing games, you can set up these like settings, and you could be like, and then you encounter pop. And you get like a
It does
castle.
pop.
It does pop up. It
Yeah.
does pop up. So you will have. It is paper crafting. So you do have to build it yourself.
It's a little crafty.
Like that
It is.
Nintendo thing.
There. Which one?
The one that you make out of paper.
Cardboard.
Oh yeah, that one. Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, there's more than one you can make with stuff. But besides that, being the
Now I
crafty
know how to
person-
trap Banzai. We
Boxes?
just, okay, sure. But I was gonna say like, we just put a sign up that says like, build it yourself. And then like, there's just a pile of like paper and dice and wood.
That would
And then we
probably
just have a
get
big
me.
cage
Oh,
over
we
top
can
of
keep
it.
you occupied for hours like that.
That would be yes. That would
Wouldn't
be
even
the
need
trap.
cage.
It'd be
Plus
like-
all the tools that you need.
Yeah. Oh, if that could be, I would totally fall for one of those trails. If it's like candy and building parts, I'd be like, ooh, building parts, candy. And I wouldn't even look if there was like a cage above my head.
A bag of googly eyes.
The googly eyes, I need these.
Cool.
But yeah,
just noting that.
so if you want to go ahead and have like a 3D puzzle kind of thing,
And these look very neat because they're like little hexes.
Yeah, they're little
and they're
hexes.
like different parts of a village. So it's not like this. It didn't seem like it's really strict gridded battle mat kind of stuff. But if you just kind of want an evocative village to kind of pop up and then hex build, they've got a lot of different scenes you can put together.
Yeah, there's a mage boat, market square, traveler's wagon, and the one that I'm really excited about is the castle setting. This is like it's like a corner, it's a bunch of it's a wall and with a tower, and the idea.
That sounds like a castle, all right.
Yeah, it's the idea is that you can do a castle wall and 4 towers separately, and then build your own little castle that you can pop up. Be like, hello, you have encountered a pop, castle.
And it's very flavorful. I like the scale of it. Even though it is paper craft, it sits there in your table, and it's impressive looking.
I think,
But that whole town could be wiped out by a light drizzle.
Well, I mean, you got to do it with cardstock then.
yeah,
Okay, a heavy
cardstock.
drizzle.
And then
Yeah,
don't
see?
you know about lamination?
Yeah.
Like things you can just laminate.
Or
it
Mod
and
Podge.
Or
Just
Mod Podge.
slap that on
I have
there.
a feeling
Yeah.
Banzai would be happy to talk to you at great length about
Yeah.
the craft projects you
Waterproofing.
can do.
Let's come back to that.
I get excited about building. I'm sorry.
Never apologize for your excitement.
All building. But yes.
But what do we have next?
All right, up next, Adventure Maze flip books. So this is a little off the beaten path for what we usually do. This is a book, a paper book with a. If you open it up or look at the Kickstarter page, it looks like it's just a bunch of mazes, but it's really all one big maze. So you're going to be traversing this book physically as your character. You're going to be leveling up. You're going to be getting a bunch of items.
I think you
And
can get like a crew and stuff like
the
that.
yeah,
Or
the
some
cool
pirate crew.
unique thing about this book is that you're folding the corners of the book, and it because there's mazes on both sides and they line up with little symbols. You're going to be going into one part of it, going around to a corner, flipping it back, and then navigating the maze. So it's kind of like a maze on steroids.
What it reminds me of is like, you had people like go through the Sudoku books.
Yeah.
It's like if you get the giant size fold out Sudoku book.
Yeah.
Except for kiddie mazes. There you go.
Yeah. Great activity book if you just love mazes, kids activities, car activities, something that's a little more engaging. You have a book of maze, like, oh, I do the maze, eventually it could potentially get a little boring, but this one has some strategy involved with it and a little more of a meta-narrative to your maze adventure. And this one has
Sell that
5
maze.
days left, and there's several different puzzles: Deep Sea Treasure, Pirate Escape, Witch's Way, and Parallel Times. And there's stickers too, so that's fun.
Okay. Never mind. I'm in.
Yep.
I love me some stickers.
Oh, stickers. Wait, I got something you might like more than stickers.
Really?
Do you like dice?
Yeah.
Do you like technology?
Kinda.
What if we take dice and technology and put them together?
It's
then
called
we
a dice rolling app.
Nope.
No.
What if the dice rolling app was taken out of the thing and in the real world?
Yeah.
Then it's called dice.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it.
But it's both.
But it's both.
What?
It's both an app and it's called this is Go Dice, Go Dice, Go Dice, Go Dice.
You should also write their theme song.
Yeah.
Take my money.
So yeah, it's basically a set of dice that you can get along with an app that you can program to do whatever games you're playing, and it also has a Dungeons and Dragons D20, D100.
Nice. So you
and
can
stuff
have
like
a whole set of these dice?
Well,
No.
they're only.
No, you can't.
You can have.
Oh, you can.
You can.
No.
Yes. I mean, so I will caution people. It does seem a little bit gimmicky in some ways, and I question the balance of some of the.
Well, I mean, you're going to
pop-up.
question the balance of any custom die that comes out, and then I'm going to go back to say we're not like running tournaments or
I
balancing
bought myself
equations here.
casino dice.
I know.
Okay.
You're weird.
I love
Yeah.
casino dice.
So,
Casino
but
dice.
like these are all like D6s. They come in a little tube.
Yes.
They have like not a battery, but like a rechargeable capacity or something
They're
in
dice
them.
you have to charge?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
But
like
they have a nice charging
yeah, like,
station.
It's a
I
10-second
think
charge.
I think they have addressed some of those kind of core concerns reasonably well. So it's one of those like, if you want electronic dice, sure. But they're all D6s. So then if you want to get a full set of fantasy dice, the tier for which is $90 or $100. you have little clamshell things that you put around the D6
that are shaped like dice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That,
So you
like-
put your dice
snap.
into the dice shell
Into
so
another
you can have
dice.
something other than a D6.
So oddly
Yes.
enough, like I think it would be hilarious to get these to play Shadowrun with.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But D&D, like I'm a little skeptical on this whole clamshell thing.
Yeah, but it's also often, you'll have like
That's the part that makes you skeptical?
Yeah, basically.
for your rolls in D&D, for example, you might have like 2d4s or like a d10, and there's a lot of different combinations for it.
I like how you think that any D&D player is ever going to show up with more than one die of every kind, and then look at their character sheet and roll the one die, and then try to roll it again and try to.
Wait, what? No.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying for them, for this
But
set,
if you
right?
only
that
wanna
you
use
only
these
have
dice-
But so many players do that. I'm like,
Oh, wait,
go,
really?
go
They
buy
just-
more sets of dice.
Wait,
It's
wait,
okay.
I thought you were joking.
No.
Wait, just
No.
like one.
Yeah.
Just the one?
Have you seen my dice bag?
I
have
know.
like 20
You
d4s.
can buy
know.
a big bag of reject
I know.
dice.
People who still buy all those dice still show up with one of every die type. And then they roll their d20, and then they roll their damage, and I'm like, no, you just
No.
handful. Just
This-
do that. You're going to be way
yes,
happier,
roll
kids.
more
Especially
dice.
if you're
Anyway.
playing Shadowrun.
Wow.
Like that's
Anyway.
when I was looking at this, I was thinking, oh, how nice it would be to just like, because I was a street Sammy, just to grab all those D6s and then
Yeah.
just roll it, and then look at the app and say, this is how many.
And how appropriate for Shadowrun would it be for you to have to kind of like go do your own miniature game while the rest of the game is happening?
That's called being a decker, right?
So this is definitely a product
Yeah.
where I'm interested. I want to wait and see how it evolves because there's the app element, there's the digital element
Well,
to
they
it.
did specifically say, I don't know how easy it is, but they said that their platform was designed to let anybody.
Yeah, exactly. I want to
Code for it.
see that before. I want to see it in practice
How many
before
dice
I
does it
put
come with?
money
What,
behind
6?
it.
Comes with
6,
6
10,
dice. So you get
Yeah,
six.
six.
Die
What's it
6 with a few shells for $100, and you have electric dice.
There.
Yeah, but you're the first people with the electric dice.
Cares?
Well, like I was saying, I want
guarantee
to.
you it will fund and people will totally care.
Oh yeah, it's raised
It
a
wouldn't
lot.
be here if it hadn't already funded.
There's also that, and that's why I'm confident in saying I guarantee.
Because you know, because you looked when you wrote it down on this page.
Irrelevant, my point still stands.
We're telling people to maybe buy electric dice. Save your money.
Yeah. Hey, can I? Can I finish?
Yeah, go
Yes,
ahead.
go ahead.
What I'm saying about this is I'm interested to see how the technology develops. With a lot of the things, these applications aren't even in the base game. It's a very mass market product right now, so it's all Yahtzee on
Yeah,
there and
that's
Lucky
what I'm talking about.
Sevens. So it doesn't look like it's really being developed for a role-playing game or even a hobbyist
Well,
aspect.
honestly, I suspect the people who made it love D&D and love technology and
Yeah.
wanted to make electronic dice.
Yeah.
And the only way they figured they could make it actually economically viable was to convince somebody that you should play Yahtzee with it.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how. Also, the Tebaru has this. Like, we haven't
So does
heard
Game Board
more
1.
about the Tebaru and exactly when it's coming out, and the Kickstarter will come hopefully this year sometime. I'm a little more interested in the fully integrated aspect, but it'll be interested to see
I know when our prototype's showing up
for Tebaru.
for Game Board 1.
Oh, nice.
Can you tell us?
Summer?
Q2, right?
Q2?
Q2, Q3?
Q3?
Q3? Yeah, sure.
All right. So our last Kickstarter was the one that I reserved for myself.
Yes.
And I'm sure no one can figure
Last
out
but certainly not
why,
least.
I wonder.
as we have 6 days left for Cults of the Blood Gods. What game line do you think this is for?
Ooh. Dungeons and Dragons.
No.
Call of Cthulhu.
No.
It's for Magical Princess
It's definitely
Party.
for
Yeah.
for
Rips.
Predator.
Big Eye, Small Mouth.
It is for Vampire the Masquerade. Shocker.
Surprise.
Oh,
I know, right?
that's why you wanted it.
What?
Yep.
What?
Well, not only that, but this one gets into the parts of Vampire that I am most excited about, which is like the weird, warped, unhealthy religions that creatures with immortality end up getting into to kind of pass the time.
Since the times of Cappadocius, we have to.
Yeah, see, you understand.
Of course I do.
Yeah. So this
I read
is
all those books.
like this is also going to cover like the Hakata, which is like the weird 5th edition amalgam of all the kind of necromancer clans, which is an odd choice. But I'm excited to get more details on. But like
You don't have to play them all like they're gangsters anymore, which is nice.
no, that was the whole point.
I know it was.
So-
it was so racist.
Yeah. It wasn't the most racist thing, but yeah.
Ravnos.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. But I'm very excited because like the Church of Cain and the very weird religions that had popped up in the Dark Ages books and that were in some of the modern books, like that's the kind of stuff, like the Sabbath, all those weird religions were what I think I really, really loved about Vampire. And the new edition of Vampire...
For me, they added a whole level of realism and really brought the world of darkness aspect of it to life. I totally agree with you. This is a cool product.
And the new edition has stepped a little bit more towards, I think, like almost like a traditional representation of vampires. Not like a Dracula, but like a Lost Boys kind of. You know, they're focusing on like the normal vampires.
Now I can only picture a guy with his shirt off and a mohawk playing the saxophone.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Really sweaty.
With the undulating.
So like
Sexy sex man.
a lot of the really weirdo stuff, they've kind of pushed to the side for so far. So I'm excited to see some supplements coming out covering some of that stuff now. So if you're into vampire, or if you're into just weird cults,
Or
you
if
got
you're
6
just
days
into
left.
Kiefer with a mullet,
Who
Who
isn't?
wouldn't be?
I mean,
he looked great in that movie.
I think that's about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Alright.
it. That's everything we have for today.
It's big.
Right?
It's going to be big and full color and many pages, though. It's a full-size book.
Yeah, the stretch goals have also, like almost all the Onyx Path stuff, they've got stretch goals for even more stuff that doesn't fit in the book. I think that even if there isn't a campaign set for it, there are a number of kind of interlinked adventures for it, too. So there's a lot of stuff
Are they
there.
doing the Vampire Bite temporary tattoos yet? Because I really think they should come back to those.
You might want to drop them a note about that and
I
see if
will.
you can get a
Just
consulting
draw
fee.
on your neck with permanent marker. It's just like a red one. Just put some dots on there. Vampire.
Couldn't you just put makeup on?
Oh yeah, that works too.
Like makeup?
They're blowing your mind right now.
No, I didn't
A
think
red Sharpie.
they were like really grabbed on like a throwaway joke and are running with it. And I'm just impressed. I'm sorry.
But
I'm
yes.
not looking at you like you're crazy. Like, wow, I didn't expect that.
All right.
Nice job.
Is it time for us to reveal our special guests?
Special guests.
Surprise round. Special
Everybody
guest.
scoot. Everybody scoot.
Scoot.
Change places.
Change places.
Okay.
I have a box of.
Special guests. So who do we have here today, everybody? I'm so excited to meet these people for the very first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jen Ellis.
I'm Keith Baker.
And we're from Together Studios, and we are Together Studios.
Exactly.
The whole studio's here. That's so exciting.
gosh.
We're the two in together.
They're two in the Together, yeah.
That's so cool. So what are we talking about today?
Could it be this beautiful, amazing box that we have here?
This prototype of the Adventure Zone Bureau of Balance game that we are making with the McElroy family. And it's currently on pre-order for another 2 weeks, and we're really excited about it.
That is super cool. So what's the what is the game? What is the game?
What's the
the
scoop?
game?
What's the pitch?
What's the game, Keith
Tell me
Baker?
about the
Game.
Tell
game.
me about the game.
So Bureau of Balance is a collaborative storytelling card game. Our whole goal was when you take the Adventure Zone, it's essentially about a group of friends who are building a fun fantasy adventure together in about an hour.
Right.
And we wanted a game, it doesn't replicate any of the actual stories in the Balanced Arc. It is a framework for you to build your own stories. These are the untold stories of the other reclaimers of the Bureau of Balance. And basically we wanted it to be something that is accessible to people who have sort of always said, oh, I like the idea of this thing, but I've never actually played one of these games. And that this is something that's very accessible, easy to get into, you can play with anyone in a little over an hour.
And without a DM.
And without a DM.
Ooh, a DMless game. I actually, yeah.
Those scare the crap out of me.
Really?
They do.
He,
I'm always like,
he wants job security.
I'm gonna. Right. That's got to be it. No, just because I don't like. Am I gonna do it wrong? That's what the GM is usually there for.
I'm
me.
going
It's
to
like
guide you.
What you do have is you do have a team leader, and the point of the team leader is they're the person who actually knows the rules. The rules are pretty simple, but there are rules. And the team leader knows the rules and also is sort of encouraged to prompt people to help ask leading questions. So it is all about, it is a simple game with a concrete core mechanic. You have these decks that create, essentially build a dungeon that you're trying to go through. And so you can just roll your dice, hit your numbers to succeed. So if you're like, oh, I don't like telling stories, that's okay. You don't have to. No one judges you. You don't fail because your story was too bad. But at the same time, there's a lot of prompts that will say, well, if you tell us something about this, if you answer this question, we'll give you a bonus. Okay. And then the team leader is also there to say, you're going to try and get through this gate. How are you going to do it? You know, again, just sort of encourage people to add flavor.
But for you, we'll make an affirmation app, just so you feel good about it.
No, I've got mantras that I have right next to the mirror when I'm fixing my beard, and I say them.
All right, when it
over
comes
and
out in
over again.
August,
You
you're
don't
going to be
need a
set.
DM. Nobody's a DM.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a little bit, I made a game called Gloom.
Yeah.
And Gloom has the same element of you don't have to tell a story to play it, but really the story, the framework for the story is part of what really makes it compelling. With this sort of builds on that even further. And it's, you know, simple foundational game, but it's the stories you build from it that are really what's so much fun.
And cooperative storytelling is really the bread and butter, the basis of what role-playing games should be anyway.
I think that was the amazing thing about the McElroys, right? So here are the McElroy brothers are in the family, right? So it's the Adventure Zone is a podcast.
Yes.
Dad and 3 sons, adult sons, all playing D&D together. And the first episodes, they have really no experience. They are kind of working their way through. And what we've seen over the years of that podcast are a group of people who are really enjoying creating stories together, inspiring other people to do the same, and trying out other systems, frankly, to try to work with what supports them and their style, and really getting to the essence of collaborative storytelling together. So when we approached them, asked them if they wanted to work on a game, you know, that was really one of the essences that we wanted to bring to a game. Is they've removed barriers for a lot of people to get into storytelling games and RPGs, and so we wanted a game that reflects that. And also, just it's fun. Just like have a blast. You know, I always say that I feel like when I listen to that podcast, it's like being in the funnest family's basement of my neighborhood. You know, and that's what it's like.
That's a question I have.
Yeah.
The podcast was about them playing RPGs.
Yeah.
You know, the natural question is, why didn't you just make a traditional RPG and just try to make one that was that still accomplished those goals?
Right.
To me, the biggest part of it is because it's about them playing an RPG, and yet what it's really about is the story that they build. And again, this is just an hour of people having fun together. And half the time they're ignoring the rules or they're getting the rules wrong, and basically saying, taking this and you just sit down and play D&D, that's not immediately the experience you're going to have. And what we really wanted was that, again, coming back to the point that when it started, most of them had never played something like D&D before, and we wanted an experience that were like, you can do this with anyone. You can, if you can convince them to get your dad to sit down and play this, they could probably play this. It is just a more casual entry experience. Likewise, you don't need to know anything about the Adventure Zone. If you do, there's a lot of little Easter eggs and hooks and things like that, but it's designed for anyone who just wants to dive in and have a fantasy adventure.
You're not going in to recreate their stories, you're going in to make your own.
Exactly.
Right. But you'll have all the familiar things that you kind of know from the balance bar.
If you listen or if
Right.
you watch.
I mean, you still get to shop at Fantasy Costco, is what it
That
really
is
comes down
true.
to.
Yes.
And we
Fantasy
know that Derek
Costco.
loves his magic items, so we got to make
Yeah,
sure of that.
exactly. Oh yeah, we got everything lined up for you.
They weren't really accusing you of liking magic items.
I just want the record to be clear here, okay? I want no confusion.
It is. It'll play over and over on the VOD, bud.
So does this game, for its setting, is it just basically fantasy, or is there other, like, you can expand it into other universes as long as it's your theater of the mind kind of thing, or?
This game is definitely fantasy, and it is basically, there are 12 decks. You are basically trying to get a mystical relic back from a dangerous villain from a mysterious location. And so there's 4 of each of those, and the combinations you put together will create the experience and define the kind of challenges you have. It can be a very different game based on, are you encountering a lich in a cave or on a train? You know, those are going to be very different experiences.
Tired of all these liches on this train.
Exactly. And the main thing is, certainly in terms of expansion, it would be an easy enough matter to add more decks, you know, things like that in the future.
In fact, there's already
Spoilers.
Yes,
we're almost close today. We're hoping that if we hit our pre-order number, that it comes with a free expansion for when you get on the pre-order, and it comes with an exclusive mission and challenge card deck. So you'll have an expansion with it. But even if you like D&D, I still think, we literally made this of, can you play this in a bar? Can you play this in a living room?
So it is
small
casual,
footprint,
but
small footprint.
I mean, it's still an hour.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a great
Just
amount
like
of
you
time
would,
for a storytelling
just like
game.
if you play D&D, you still play Munchkin, you still play Lords of Waterdeep. You want to still have that experience or flavor, but in a different way.
And it sounds like it's very pick up and play. You're not going to have to spend an hour and a half on character creation, which is Derek's other favorite
Unless
part
you
about
want
role-playing
to,
games.
yeah, exactly.
You're telling us, how long does it actually take to create a character?
5 minutes.
Yes.
I like that.
Now, I will say,
Feng Shui style.
coming back to your saying theater of the mind, elements like that, part of the point of it is, I said you might be dealing with a lich in a cave. Part of the point of it is the challenges present large concepts. You're dealing with a lich, you're dealing with a dark lord, you're dealing with a dragon. But then one of the immediate things you do at the start of the game is the team leader will lead people through to saying, but add the details. Where is this cave? Who is this dark lord? And so part of it is the challenge cards, create a framework, but then the first thing we're going to do is take a moment to say, let's make this our story. This is Bob the Lich, my nefarious uncle.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, you sort of make it your own.
I love the
Turn
accessibility
to Lichtum after getting kicked out of Thanksgiving too many times.
I
and
know
being drunk.
that, for someone, I came to role-playing games fairly recently, and as with a lot of people who came to it fairly recently, you come into established groups and just seems that everybody knows exactly what to do all the time, and you come into it just feeling a little intimidated by everything. And this is something I love from your games, is it's the carrot versus the stick, right? You're creating an environment that encourages stories. Some people will say, I'm not really a storyteller, but you're like, you see the lich, and it's like, haha, wouldn't it be funny if it was Bob and they worked at a McDonald's or something? It's like, yeah, sure, you can do that.
I've been amazed in playtesting this game. We've playtested it with a lot of people over the course of the year, and it's been totally amazingly fun to listen to the stories that people create.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things is if you go to a convention and sometimes you're playtesting, you get some random people who don't know each other playtesting a role-playing game. It can be a little stagnant because they don't know each other. And we were in Springfield, Missouri, and we were playtesting a game, and people were spontaneously singing together in harmony and laughing. And at the end, I realized that they didn't know each other.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, ooh, okay, I think this is great. This is,
that's what you want. Building up that group synergy is something that takes longer than almost anything with an established group.
And it's hard to measure when you're playtesting, did we get that carrot right of inviting people? And I think that was a moment where I'm like, I think we got this on this piece, because it's really important to us to do that.
So I was curious, how involved were the McElroys in the development and design of it? And then how much did the game change during your design process? Was it pretty solid in the beginning and you just refined it, or did it go through a lot of big changes?
I think we can both answer this question, but I think one of the things that I've loved about working with the McElroys is they really believe in us as game designers and put a lot of trust in us. So that's been wonderful.
You have a pretty solid resume.
And we pitched them several games, and this is the one that they liked. One day maybe we can tell you all the others because they're pretty funny.
But
not on camera.
But yeah, so I mean, we presented a number of different ideas. They sort of narrowed down on this one, and then we talked about that further. And this was part of where we were saying, did they want a game that was essentially replicating the story, or did they want something that is letting the players explore the world themselves? And they agreed that was what they were more interested in.
And I'm assuming that's what you were also more interested in making.
Yeah, I mean, just because, again, for us, it's about the collaborative storytelling.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have been really supportive of it. We have, because they're incredibly funny, right? So if you've listened to the podcast at all, and so going through the cards, getting their input into some of the flavor text, and what would they think are little things that would really delight fans, that would be Easter eggs. And so we've been really working closely, and they've play tested the game as well. They play tested the train deck on a train, which was like one of my
Yeah.
favorite.
I love it.
And definitely all of them
Really
have
going
been,
for authenticity.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
And definitely all of them have been adding ideas for flavor text or card ideas.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
I guess for my question is, what, like in your playtesting demos, what was your most favorite combo that you saw?
It's not really I collect quotes that I hear people that are my initial idea was like, oh, I should put these on social media, and I'm like, no one really gets the game yet, because we're just really introducing them, but later on I will. And I think just like little, like there's just so much, fire retardant a cape can be, or just things like that you hear, someone just that I think is funny. Do you have any good ones?
I'm pretty sure that if I'm remembering correctly, somewhere the cave, because again you started out and everyone creates their things, that the cave was the labyrinth of Gen Con housing.
This is what players do. Everything is a yes and.
This
we
leads
just
to the Sky Bridge to the JW Marriott for some reason.
you never know what Gen Con exclusives can happen here.
So you said this is available for pre-order.
Yeah.
For the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. TheAdventureZoneGame.com. Pretty easy to remember, TheAdventureZoneGame.com. And there's two different versions of the game. There's this is the standard version, and then there's a deluxe version, which comes with some additional dice, metal tokens,
Live baby.
a 3D fantasy Costco standee,
Which is
thing.
only available through the pre-order.
Yeah,
We are actually going to be
and the
making
box is, beautiful
That'll be
voidfish
ugly,
illustration by Harry Connor, who did all the illustrations for this game, and they're on Instagram as Harry Draws, Hari, and they are an amazing illustrator, and I love their work. So.
When should it be widely available?
August 2020, so it'll be a Gen Con release.
All right.
Yeah.
I support that.
Ding.
I support that, yeah.
And are there other places, because you say you've been playtesting and showing it around, are you going to continue to do that through the release so people can...
Maybe right here.
Maybe we'll
in
do a
just
So we are in town here in Seattle for OrcaCon, doing playtests tonight and tomorrow night.
yeah, OrcaCon.
So 4:30 to 10 p.m. We'll be running playtests. And if you're in Portland, Oregon, where we're based out of, we'll probably be doing weekly playtests at different locations all the way through to March.
Down the street from me.
So
Olympia.
so follow. Oh yeah. Well, you can. It's a simple train ride.
Exactly. Takes no time at all.
and playtest the train. while you're
Yeah,
at it.
places
So if
to
you
train
want
on
to
train.
follow us at Twogether Studios, TWO Together Studios, on Instagram or on Twitter, on Facebook, and all those books.
All
and
of the
places.
socials.
All the
medias.
socials. We'll be announcing those things as well.
Excellent.
Well, so I'm also curious. So you have it up for pre-order,
Yeah.
on your own site.
Yeah.
You have bonuses for reaching certain pre-order thresholds.
Yep.
I gotta ask, why? What was your reason for not putting it on Kickstarter or some other crowdfunding platform?
So it's interesting. We love Kickstarter. All of our other games have been funded through Kickstarter. And, the original premise of Kickstarter is, will this product be viable in the market? Should we be making this or should we not? And the answer to that is we were always going to make this game. And we have had solvency in order to do an initial print run. And so to put it on Kickstarter is, to me, not really authentic.
Right.
But there's a lot of different answers to the question of Kickstarter or not. But frankly, we have a good amount of pre-orders. We're doing fine.
Yeah.
For this, Kickstarter is a really great way and visibility for people and we don't necessarily get that visibility because we're not on that channel, but we've had a really wonderful opportunity to connect with fans, offer something exclusive, give extras just like people accept with a Kickstarter, and I've had a lot of great tools to be able to respond to customers that I haven't really before, so it's been really good. Yeah.
Great.
Nice.
Very cool.
All right. Does anybody else have any other questions?
So many, but I'm not going to have time for you.
yeah,
Did
no,
we
there's-
ask how much it costs?
Oh,
I don't know if we did.
The retail price is $39.95.
Oh, that's a good.
Perfectly affordable.
Oh, there you go. And then there's the limited edition, which is $59, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
With the
fun.
metal coin.
The metal
Yeah,
coins,
metal
the
coins.
foil, it's
We are deluxe edition.
Yeah, we are very much deluxe.
Yeah, it's outselling 5-to-1 our standard, so there's a lot of
And then how
Yeah.
many players?
2 to 5. So you can, it's a storytelling game that you play with 2 players is great,
Yes.
and up to 5.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to playing this, but
Yay.
I don't get to do it today.
Yeah.
Someday.
Well, we know them.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so that's step 1.
Yeah.
Step 2, I did say that we will start doing some games with the hosts.
Yes.
So maybe
could
we
happen.
can make something happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it will be available if now is not a good time for you to purchase a game or you want to know more. It will be available at your local game store and come in August, and also from us directly as well.
Excellent.
All right.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, thanks for being on. I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll see you
thank
again
you.
very soon at this exact same table.
Yeah.
Do you mean immediately following?
Maybe
Oh, okay.
immediately following.
Yeah.
Speaking of table, this has been TableTakes presented by Gen Con. We're here every Friday. We talk about games and stuff. My name is Christian, Banzai, Emma, Derek, Keith, Jen. We're all going to be here forever now.
This is where we live now.
This is what we do.
We're putting cots in the back
Yeah. Naps and snacks.
until a new Eberron book comes out. I'm a fiend like that.
I'm working
sorry.
on that.
Anyway, we will be here every Friday until the end of time memorial. Otherwise, we'll just be at home. So be safe out there. Play some games.